Good evening, folks, and welcome. It is September 13th, 2020, and my virtual background is wonderful Lambeau Field. Today, the NFL kicked off, and the Green Bay Packers beat the Minnesota Vikings 43 to 34, although it was not in Lambeau Field. It was played in U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis in front of no fans. Very interesting the way things are this year, but at least we have some football. Speaking of things we've been looking forward to, I know you've been looking forward to the ethics essay. So let me talk about that a little bit. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you here. And I'm going to bring up the prompt for the ethics essay assignment. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, and then I'm going to show you some tips and talk about it somewhat. Okay, so for this assignment, we're going to ask you to use some frameworks, some ethical frameworks. So if you've been watching the videos, you'll know that I talk about these. There is a video for you to watch, and if you can't access the video, the transcript of it is available, and it's by Professor Badaracco, who is a Harvard ethics professor, and it's called Defining Moments. And he talks about 4 different frameworks that he uses in making decisions in some of these difficult situations. So I want you to watch that first, instructions at the end, and then think about using, I would say 2 of those frameworks in your paper. Using all 4 is not successful. Using less than 2 will not get you the full points. So I think 2 is just about right. Okay. Also, before I get too deep in this, wanted to call your attention to the fact that Frank Center tutors came in the spring, and they recorded a good video that is at the beginning of the constitutional law video about writing an essay. The prompt was a different one, okay, but what they said is still applicable. Now that we're doing a lot of things virtually, they are going to put together, I believe, a little video for your use with some tips. But bear in mind that this is due coming up pretty quickly here in October, so don't wait around for that. I think it'll be helpful once we get it, but we're on kind of a tight schedule. So watch the one from spring, listen to what I'm going to say, and then write the essay. All right? So the prompt for this one has to do with something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, which is trout fishing. All right, the essay is actually not about trout fishing at all, but it's about a area of the state where Bloody Run Creek is, and this is one of Iowa's designated outstanding waters. We talk more about those when we get into the environmental law chapter after the midterm. Okay, but this case is a balancing act between agriculture, commerce, and the stream and the water quality. Okay, and you've got different groups on either side. So I've given you 4 articles linked to here. I want you to read those. Please feel free to read more about the case if you want. It's easy to find. Des Moines Register, Cedar Rapids Gazette, various blogs. You can read more about it if you want. It's a real case that's going on. And in this case, I'm asking you to read through this and then to write a persuasive essay to your boss, who is the head of the DNR, saying whether or not this project should be issued a permit. Okay? I realize it's a bit awkward that you would write a persuasive essay to your boss instead of a memo, but bear with me because it's an essay project and there's a reason we do it this way. Okay? Structure and format is clearly noted here, and you'll note that that follows a lot of the guidelines that we set out in the ethical decision-making model. All right, format stuff, 3 to 4 pages, double-spaced. You can write in first or third person. There's no required citation style. Don't get hung up on that. You know, I would say if you want to do parenthetical, that's fine. If you want to do endnotes, that's fine. You can do footnotes. It's going to cut into your page limit, right? MLA or APA are good styles, but I really don't care what style you use as long as you're consistent with it. Please cite any sources that you use. Throw that on a works cited page. That page does not count toward your page limit. All right. We also have money available for the winners of this contest. Um, in the years past, it's been in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $3,000 for the winning essay, and then considerable money prizes for second and third as well. So this is the only class in which people write this essay. So you stand a pretty good chance of winning if you do a good job. All right. Here is the information on how to get to the Badaracco video. And then let me also go over here and share a couple things with you. So you reach the assignment through the assignments tab. Tricky, I know, right? But you just go down here. It's posted as a Word doc. You can look at it there. Same thing I just showed you. When you get into the modules, 5.1, the ethics essay, you've got the assignment, the transcript, and then a link to tips on writing the essay. And that's going to take you over to my personal blog where I have a few tips here. So read these because I'm the one who sets the grading for this. So you can probably figure if I think it's important, it might be. Know your audience. Who do you address it to? First, second, or third person? Up to you, but be consistent. Remember some things from the memo tips: intent, time frame, and quality. Make a list of the stakeholders for your reference. You do have to make a decision or recommendation at the end of this. So sometimes people will write and they'll just be like, oh, it's a hard problem. I don't know what to do. Guess you'll have to figure it out. Can't do that here. You got to decide, right? You also can't have a magical ending. So sometimes I would have people write things and they would just be like, oh, and then a government bailout and we don't have to make this hard decision, right? No, we have to make this hard decision, right? There's not another place to locate this project. You can't clone this trout stream, right? It's either here or it's nowhere. So you have to make a realistic decision within the range of options that you have, which is do it or not do it, right? And then I have some structural things here. The Frank Center folks go into more detail in terms of thesis statements, claim statements, proof, right? Very good stuff. I do think the first paragraph should have a brief overview of the facts, and I mean very brief, like a sentence. By the time you get to the second sentence, you should be stating your decision that you made and a quick basis for doing so. So that's kind of your thesis. And then saying, I'm going to explain the reasoning further. The next paragraph, I think, works well to introduce all four of those frameworks. And I do want you to introduce all four of them, at least a sentence on each of them. Maybe not any more than one sentence, but you do have to talk about each of them or else you don't get the points, all right? I know it's a little awkward, but just kind of suspend disbelief while you do this. And then state which one or two you found most persuasive or applicable to this case. And remember, to get the most points, I want you to use two of them. I think it's really difficult to use four of them. I've seen people successfully use three. Two is probably about right. Hint, hint. All right. Walk through the application of the framework to the facts. Show how the frameworks that you chose led you to the decision that you made. Explain your decision in detail, especially talking about the downsides or the counter arguments. There is no decision you can make in this case that will make everyone happy. In fact, no matter what you choose, someone will be angry at you. That's realistic. So think about the stakeholders who are going to lose in this. And although you can't make them winners, you can explain your decision in a way that they can accept the reasoning you use to get there. Just like I can't give everyone an A in this class, but if I use a just and fair and transparent grading scale, you will look at it and say, okay, I understand why I got a B or a C. I wanted an A, but I understand. That's what you're aiming for, right? And then a very brief conclusion, just a brief restatement of your decision and rationale. No big reveal at the end. So don't wait until the very end to say what your decision is or what your recommendation is. I want you to um, tell us that in the first paragraph. All right. So it's easy to kind of build things up like a mystery novel and then reveal it at the end. Don't do that. Right. Okay. I hope this helps out. I hope you're going along well in the class. Please keep an eye on the dates. We have the midterm exam coming up in about 3 weeks, and the same for this ethics essay. So please stay on top of those things. If you have any questions, come into office hours. We have not been getting many people in office hours. We would like to see you guys virtually. I would love to see you in person, but it's not safe right now. But we would love to see you guys virtually. So come on in with questions, um, comments, anything that is related to the course that we can help you with. All right. I hope you guys have a good evening and have a great week.